Pause for a moment. Because this is not about flames. It is not about someone physically destroying papers. It is about something quieter. And far more dangerous. Archangel Michael speaks with steady intensity. What is undocumented can disappear without anyone touching it. You thought your wealth was safe. You thought your plans were understood. You assumed your household structure was clear. But clarity that is not written is vulnerability. The real investigator. The investigator in this message is awareness. Awareness just uncovered something inside your household. Unorganized records. Unclear ownership. Outdated documents. Undiscussed financial plans. Verbal agreements never written down. Nothing dramatic happened. No villain entered your home. But something was still at risk. Because protection requires documentation. The burning of wealth papers, what it really means. When the title says someone was burning your wealth papers, it symbolizes neglect. Every time you delay updating a document, every time you postpone reviewing accounts, every time you avoid discussing inheritance plans, every time you fail to organize records, you allow confusion to grow. And confusion is the quiet fire that erodes stability. Archangel Michael declares, wealth without clarity is temporary. The 2-hour fight. The fight is the tension between discipline and delay. For 2 hours. For 2 months. For 2 years. You have sensed something needs attention. But routine distracted you. Comfort delayed you. Assumption reassured you. Meanwhile, your structure remained undefined. That is the real risk. The hidden vulnerability in most homes. Most households assume everyone knows where things are. Everyone understands the plan. Everyone agrees on the strategy. Everyone would handle emergencies wisely. But assumptions are not systems. And systems are what protect families. Ask yourself. If something unexpected happened tomorrow, would every critical document be accessible? Would every account be known? Would every responsibility be clear? If not, the vulnerability is already there. The proof that can disappear. Proof disappears when passwords are forgotten. Documents are misplaced. Verbal promises are undocumented. Investments are untracked. Ownership is unclear. Not through sabotage. Through neglect. Neglect is slow. But powerful. The real emergency. The urgency in this message is not about seconds. It is about seasons. There are moments in life when you feel the nudge. Organize this. Update that. Review everything. Those nudges are protective signals. Ignoring them extends risk. Acting on them restores authority. Archangel Michael's warning. Michael does not accuse. He clarifies. Protect what you build. Do not assume it protects itself. Protection requires documentation, transparency, structure, routine review, clear communication. This is how you guard legacy. The suspense you feel. You clicked because something felt unsettled. That unsettled feeling is not fear. It is awareness rising. Awareness is uncomfortable before it becomes empowering. Because once you see vulnerability, you are responsible to correct it. The private investigation inside your home. Conduct your own investigation. Where are your key documents? Who has access? Are beneficiaries updated? Are debts tracked? Are assets documented? Is your family informed? Do not wait for crisis to reveal gaps. Reveal them yourself. The real protection strategy. Protection is not dramatic. It is disciplined. Create a secure folder. Document all assets. Update legal documents. Discuss inheritance plans. Automate financial tracking. Review annually. These steps are quiet, but powerful. Anchor this moment. Before distraction returns. Before routine delays action again. Before comfort whispers, later. Comment this word. Secure. Comment secure because you are choosing structure over assumption and clarity over vulnerability. And if you see a QR code on the screen or a link in the description or comments, you may follow it voluntarily as a symbolic act of planting a seed of protection and intentional planning for your household's future. Not from panic. Not from pressure. But from commitment. Let it represent your decision to protect what you build. Let it symbolize your intention to organize, document, and secure your family's stability. In the next part, we will uncover how unclear communication inside households silently creates financial confusion, and how resolving it prevents future loss. If you are ready to continue, say. Continue. Part 2, The Silence That Costs More Than Fire. Stay with this carefully. Because what destroys stability in most homes is not sabotage. It is silence. Archangel Michael speaks with calm gravity. Confusion grows in rooms where important conversations never happen. You organized documents. You reviewed accounts. You secured records. But there is another layer. A deeper vulnerability. Unspoken understanding. The illusion of, they already know. Many households operate on assumption. They know where everything is. They understand the plan. They'll figure it out. We've talked about it before. But memory fades. Details blur. Stress distorts recall. And when urgency arrives, clarity disappears. Silence feels peaceful. Until clarity is required. The unseen risk of partial information. Imagine this scenario. One person manages finances. One person understands investments. One person knows the passwords. One person knows the debt structure. If that person becomes unavailable even temporarily, momentum halts. Decisions freeze. Confidence drops. Not because wealth vanished. Because understanding did. Archangel Michael declares. Knowledge locked in one mind is a fragile vault. True protection distributes understanding. The hidden cost of avoided conversations. Why do families avoid financial conversations? Because money triggers emotion. Because inheritance feels uncomfortable. Because debt feels embarrassing. Because planning feels intimidating. Because responsibility feels heavy. So silence becomes easier. But silence accumulates risk. Unspoken expectations become future conflict. Undefined plans become future confusion. Unclear ownership becomes future dispute. None of this is dramatic. But all of it is preventable. The generational communication gap. Many parents never discussed money openly. So children grew up guessing. Guessing creates myths. Myths create fear. Fear creates avoidance. Avoidance creates instability. If you want generational stability, you must normalize structured discussion. Not emotional debate. Not dramatic confrontation. Calm, scheduled, intentional conversation. The meeting most homes never have. There is one meeting most households avoid. The clarity meeting. Where you sit down and calmly outline. What exists? What is owed? What is invested? What is planned? What is expected? What is protected? Not because disaster is coming. But because leadership requires transparency. Archangel Michael affirms. Clarity prevents chaos before chaos begins. The emotional strength required. Having structured financial conversations requires maturity. It requires calm tone, open listening, clear documentation, No accusation. No defensiveness. When handled properly, these conversations build trust. When avoided, they weaken trust silently. The difference between wealth and stability. Wealth can exist without stability. But stability cannot exist without clarity. You can earn significant income. But if your household lacks communication structure, confusion erodes it. Protection is not just about locking documents. It is about aligning understanding. The quiet power of transparency. Transparency builds confidence. Confidence reduces fear. Reduced fear improves decision quality. Improved decisions strengthen outcomes. When everyone understands the structure, pressure decreases. When pressure decreases, mistakes reduce. When mistakes reduce, stability increases. This is multiplication through communication. The real meaning of proof disappearing. Proof disappears when plans are undocumented. Conversations are forgotten. Expectations are unspoken. Assets are misunderstood. But proof strengthens when everything is written. Everything is reviewed. Everything is shared responsibly. Documentation plus communication equals protection. The household leadership shift. Leadership in a household is not control. It is clarity. Clarity about direction. Clarity about resources. Clarity about goals. Clarity about protection. Archangel Michael says, lead with structure, not secrecy. Secrecy creates fragility. Structure creates strength. The future you are designing. Imagine 10 years from now. Your family understands the system. Your children know financial principles. Your partner understands investments. Your records are updated annually. Your goals are reviewed consistently. There is calm. There is preparedness. There is trust. This is not dramatic wealth. This is durable stability. And durability is harder to destroy than sudden success. The real alert in this message. The real alert is this. Silence is expensive. Conversation is protective. Avoidance weakens structure. Transparency reinforces it. The investigator did not find sabotage. It found silence. And silence can be corrected. Anchor this shift. Before routine returns. Before discomfort delays discussion. Before silence feels easier again. Comment this word. Clarity. Comment clarity because you are choosing transparency over assumption and structure over uncertainty. And if you notice a QR code on the screen or a link in the description or comments, you may follow it voluntarily as a symbolic act of planting a seed of clarity and unity for your household's future. Not from urgency. Not from pressure. But from commitment. Let it represent your decision to protect your family through communication, documentation, and disciplined planning. In the next part, we will uncover how daily habits, not dramatic threats, quietly determine whether wealth grows or slowly dissolves. If you are ready, say. Continue. Part 3, the daily habits that quietly erase or expand your future. Lean in for this. Because what you are about to hear is not dramatic. And that is exactly why it is dangerous. Archangel Michael speaks with steady clarity. Most wealth is not destroyed in one moment. It fades in small, repeated decisions. No investigator. No visible enemy. No flames. Just habits. And habits are either building your structure or slowly dissolving it. The small daily leaks. Consider this carefully. A subscription never reviewed. A budget never tracked. A purchase never evaluated. A skill never upgraded. A plan never revisited. Each one feels insignificant. But repeated 365 times per year. For 5 years. The outcome changes dramatically. Wealth is rarely stolen. It is usually unguarded. The illusion of, it's not that much. Small expenses. Small delays. Small excuses. Small compromises. They don't matter. But they accumulate. And accumulation works both directions. Small discipline compounds. Small neglect compounds. Archangel Michael declares. What you repeat becomes your result. This is not mystical. It is structural mathematics. The invisible drift. Drift happens quietly. You stop reviewing accounts. You stop checking progress. You stop setting monthly targets. You stop refining skills. You stop questioning inefficiencies. Not because you gave up. Because life got busy. Drift is subtle. But over years, it changes direction. The hidden power of review. One of the most powerful habits in any household. Monthly review. Not emotional reaction. Structured review. Where you sit calmly and ask. What improved? What weakened? What grew? What drained? What needs adjustment? Review protects clarity. Clarity protects discipline. Discipline protects growth. The QR code moment, not pressure, but intention. Sometimes you will see a QR code appear on the screen. Or a link mentioned in the description or comments. Pause. Not because something terrible will happen if you ignore it. But because it represents something symbolic. It represents intentional action. A conscious step. A reminder that protection is proactive. Scanning or clicking is not about urgency. It is about alignment. A moment where you choose to say, my household operates with awareness. Not fear. Awareness. The discipline of micro-improvement. Imagine committing to 1% improvement daily. Financially. Emotionally. Strategically. 1% feels small. But over time, it compounds exponentially. 5 years of small upgrades produces visible transformation. 5 years of small neglect produces visible regret. Archangel Michael says. The difference between stability and struggle is often a small repeated choice. The habit of protection. Protection is not occasional. It is habitual. Track income monthly. Track expenses weekly. Track investments quarterly. Upgrade skills annually. Review legal documents periodically. These rhythms create invisible armor. Armor built slowly. Quietly. Consistently. The emotional drift that drains wealth. Sometimes habits weaken because emotions fluctuate. Stress increases spending. Frustration increases risk. Fatigue reduces review. Distraction reduces discipline. That is why emotional regulation is financial protection. Calm decisions preserve structure. Reactive decisions weaken it. The subtle signal in the QR code. When a QR code appears during this message, it is not an alarm. It is a checkpoint. A reminder that growth requires participation. Protection requires awareness. Stability requires intention. It is symbolic. A visible sign reminding you that invisible habits matter. The long-term vision. Ask yourself. If I repeat today's habits for 10 years, where will I stand? Because that is the real inheritance question. Not, who took it? But, what am I building daily? The investigator uncovered no villain. It uncovered patterns. Patterns are powerful. But patterns can be replaced. The authority shift. Archangel Michael affirms. You do not need dramatic rescue. You need disciplined repetition. That is your power. Not reacting. Not panicking. Not waiting. Repeating. Repeating wisely. Repeating intentionally. Anchor this discipline. Before comfort interrupts consistency. Before drift returns. Before distraction distracts again. Comment this word. Discipline. Comment discipline because you are choosing small daily protection over accidental erosion. And when you notice the QR code or the link, let it serve as a symbolic reminder. Protection is intentional. Growth is participatory. Stability is built, not wished for. If you are ready to go deeper into how identity permanently reshapes financial destiny, say. Continue. Part 4, the identity that controls your outcome. Now we go deeper than habits. Deeper than documents. Deeper than conversations. Because none of those matter long-term if identity stays unchanged. Archangel Michael speaks with steady authority. Systems protect wealth. Habits grow wealth. But identity decides whether you keep it. You can organize everything. You can track every dollar. You can review every document. But if, deep inside, you still see yourself as someone who struggles. Someone who always catches up. Someone who almost makes it. Your behavior will quietly return to that level. Not intentionally. Automatically. The identity ceiling. Every person has an internal financial identity. A level that feels normal. If you earn more than that level, discomfort rises. If you fall below that level, urgency rises. You fight to return to your normal. That normal might be stability, tension, debt, survival, modest comfort. Whatever feels familiar becomes the anchor. Archangel Michael declares. You do not rise to your desires. You return to your identity. That is why transformation feels temporary for many. Identity was never upgraded. The hidden script in your mind. Think carefully. When you picture yourself 5 years from now, what do you see? Do you see expansion confidently? Or do you secretly assume? It will probably be the same. That assumption is powerful. Because expectation shapes preparation. Preparation shapes action. Action shapes result. If you expect little, you prepare little. If you prepare little, you achieve little. The subtle self-limit. Sometimes identity whispers. I'm not that kind of person. That level isn't for me. I'll probably mess it up. It's safer to stay moderate. Those whispers feel realistic. But they are inherited patterns. From environment. From upbringing. From past failure. From comparison. They are not destiny. They are conditioning. Conditioning can be replaced. The discipline of rewriting identity. You do not rewrite identity emotionally. You rewrite it structurally. By keeping commitments. Tracking consistently. Making calm decisions. Having hard conversations. Learning continuously. Acting on review. Each disciplined action sends a message to your mind. I am someone who follows through. Over time, identity shifts. Not because you said affirmations. Because you demonstrated behavior. The symbol of intentional action. When you see a QR code appear. Or notice a link referenced. It is not a command. It is a mirror. A moment where you ask. Am I someone who acts intentionally? Not from fear. Not from impulse. But from clarity. Scanning or clicking, if you choose to, is symbolic. It represents stepping forward with awareness. Choosing structure. Choosing participation. Choosing ownership. It is not about urgency. It is about identity alignment. The financial identity upgrade. Ask yourself honestly. Do I operate like someone building legacy? Or someone reacting to pressure? Do I review calmly? Or avoid discomfort? Do I move strategically? Or wait emotionally? Your answers reveal your current identity. An identity determines trajectory. The power of internal authority. When identity shifts, something changes. You stop waiting for permission. You stop chasing validation. You stop comparing constantly. You stop shrinking. You begin operating from authority. Archangel Michael affirms. Authority begins inside. Stability follows. External stability cannot outgrow internal confidence. The 10-year projection. Project forward. 10 years of acting as a disciplined planner, a calm decision maker, a consistent learner, a structured protector, a transparent communicator. The outcome becomes predictable. Not because of magic. Because of alignment. Alignment compounds. The real turning point. The investigator did not uncover an enemy. It uncovered a gap between identity and potential. The fight was not external. It was internal. And internal shifts last longer than external rescue. Anchor the identity shift. Before doubt whispers again. Before old patterns reappear. Before hesitation feels comfortable. Comment this word. Authority. Comment authority because you are stepping into disciplined ownership of your household's direction. And when you notice the QR code or link referenced, let it represent a personal checkpoint. A moment of intentional alignment. A reminder that protection, structure, and clarity require participation. Not panic. Participation. In the next part, we will go even deeper, into how long-term vision transforms ordinary income into generational stability. If you are ready, say. Continue. Part 5, The Vision That Outlives You. This is where most people stop. They organize. They review. They build habits. They shift identity. And then they think the work is complete. But Archangel Michael speaks with calm gravity. Structure protects the present. Vision protects the future. Without vision, discipline becomes maintenance. With vision, discipline becomes multiplication. The difference between stability and legacy. Stability keeps you safe. Legacy moves your bloodline forward. Stability asks, how do we stay secure? Legacy asks, how do we expand across decades? Most households aim for survival. Few design for continuation. And continuation is where transformation compounds. The 20-year question. Imagine looking 20 years ahead. Not next month. Not next year. 20 years. Ask yourself. What systems must exist by then? What knowledge must be transferred? What assets must be structured? What documentation must be complete? What habits must be normalized? Because vision determines preparation. Preparation determines trajectory. The wealth that is not visible. Real generational wealth is rarely flashy. It is clear ownership structures. Well-documented records. Shared financial literacy. Low-conflict communication. Diversified income streams. Periodic strategic review. These elements feel ordinary. But over 15 to 25 years, they create extraordinary stability. Archangel Michael declares. Time magnifies what you repeat. If you repeat structure, it multiplies. If you repeat avoidance, it erodes. The generational transfer. If you want protection to outlive you, 3 things must happen. Knowledge transfer. Teach financial basics openly. Explain decisions. Share reasoning. Normalize planning conversations. System documentation. Maintain written clarity. Update beneficiaries. Organize legal records. Centralize secure information. Cultural discipline. Make review routine. Make saving expected. Make learning consistent. Make communication calm. Culture protects wealth more than income alone. The role of long-term vision. Short-term thinking reacts. Long-term thinking prepares. When you think long-term, you invest differently. You spend differently. You respond differently. You teach differently. Short-term thinking chases comfort. Long-term thinking builds resilience. Resilience creates permanence. The symbolic moment of commitment. When a QR code appears. Or when a link is mentioned. Pause. Not because something urgent is collapsing. But because it represents a choice. A visible symbol of participation. A reminder that legacy requires intentional action. If you choose to scan or click, let it be because you are reinforcing alignment. Because you are planting a seed of vision. Because you are choosing to participate in structured growth. Not fear. Not pressure. Participation. The emotional maturity of vision. Vision requires patience. There will be months with little visible growth. There will be seasons of slow progress. There will be periods where discipline feels routine. But routine is the backbone of legacy. Archangel Michael affirms. The patient builder outlasts the impatient dreamer. Dreaming inspires. Building sustains. The household meeting of the future. Picture a future gathering. Your family discussing plans calmly. Understanding structure. Reviewing goals together. Knowing exactly where things stand. No confusion. No panic. No hidden gaps. That is not accidental. It is designed. Design requires intention today. The long arc of protection. Protection is not one act. It is a trajectory. Trajectory built by quarterly reviews, annual updates, skill upgrades, communication cycles, investment adjustments. Over 15 years, that trajectory becomes unshakable. Not because nothing challenges it, but because it adapts. The identity of a legacy builder. A legacy builder thinks in decades. They ask, how does this decision affect 10 years? How does this habit affect 20 years? How does this conversation affect trust long-term? They do not chase intensity. They cultivate endurance. Endurance wins. Anchor the long-term vision. Before distraction narrows your focus. Before short-term comfort regains priority. Before urgency replaces planning. Comment this word. Legacy. Comment legacy because you are thinking beyond immediate stability and choosing long-term generational protection. And when you see the QR code or link referenced, allow it to serve as a symbolic checkpoint. A moment of reflection. A reminder that vision requires participation. That protection requires structure. That legacy requires repetition. Not urgency. Alignment. In the next part, we will bring everything together, protection, identity, discipline, and vision, into a single framework that ensures permanence. If you are ready, say. Continue. Part 6, the framework that makes everything permanent. This is where everything connects. Not emotionally. Structurally. Because you can have identity. You can have discipline. You can have protection. You can even have vision. But without integration, momentum scatters. Archangel Michael speaks with quiet certainty. What is integrated becomes permanent. Integration is the difference between temporary improvement and generational transformation. The 5-pillar framework of permanence. This is not dramatic. It is precise. If these 5 pillars operate together, permanence forms naturally. Pillar 1, clarity. Clarity means you know your numbers. You know your obligations. You know your goals. You know your assets. You know your weaknesses. Clarity removes guessing. Guessing creates instability. Clarity reduces emotional reaction. Without clarity, even wealth feels fragile. With clarity, even modest resources feel controlled. Clarity is the first shield. Pillar 2, Structure. Structure means documented systems, scheduled reviews, defined responsibilities, organized records, clear agreements. Structure eliminates dependence on memory. Memory fades. Structure preserves. Archangel Michael declares. Structure protects what emotion cannot. Structure turns chaos into sequence. Pillar 3, Discipline. Discipline means repeating small actions consistently. Monthly tracking. Quarterly adjustment. Annual planning. Ongoing skill development. Discipline compounds. It does not require intensity. It requires repetition. Repetition creates stability. Stability creates confidence. Confidence attracts opportunity. Pillar 4, Communication. Communication ensures no silent assumptions. No unspoken expectations. No hidden confusion. No single point of knowledge. Transparent discussion builds trust. Trust reduces friction. Reduced friction increases efficiency. Efficient households multiply progress. Archangel Michael affirms. Unity strengthens stability. Pillar 5, Vision. Vision extends the timeline. You do not build for this year. You build for decades. You prepare for transitions. You document for succession. You educate for inheritance. You plan for continuity. Vision prevents stagnation. When all 5 operate together. Clarity shows where you stand. Structure organizes movement. Discipline sustains progress. Communication aligns participants. Vision extends the horizon. Remove one pillar and weakness appears. Strengthen all 5 and permanence forms. Not because nothing challenges you, but because you adapt without collapsing. The symbolic checkpoint. At times, you may notice a QR code on the screen. Or a link referenced in the description or comments. Pause there. Not from urgency. Not from fear. But from reflection. Ask yourself. Am I building with intention? If you choose to scan or click, let it represent commitment. A symbolic act of reinforcing protection, clarity, and disciplined vision for your household. Not pressure. Participation. The integration shift. When integration happens, something changes internally. You stop chasing messages. You stop reacting to alerts. You stop searching for rescue. Because your systems begin protecting you. Your clarity guides you. Your discipline sustains you. Your communication aligns you. Your vision extends you. That is maturity. The long-term effect. 10 years of integrated structure produces emotional calm. Financial resilience. Reduced conflict. Strategic confidence. Intergenerational awareness. 20 years produces permanence. Permanence outlives intensity. The true victory. The true victory is not dramatic wealth. It is controlled expansion. It is documented clarity. It is generational awareness. It is emotional steadiness under pressure. Archangel Michael speaks. Stability is the highest form of protection. And stability is built, not wished for. Anchor permanence. Before distraction narrows your thinking again. Before short-term focus overrides long-term design. Before discipline weakens. Comment this word. Permanent. Comment permanent because you are choosing integrated stability over temporary improvement. And whenever the QR code or link appears, let it be a quiet reminder. A reminder that participation reinforces alignment. That protection requires involvement. That legacy requires structure. Not urgency. Intention. If you want the final closing message that seals this entire framework into one clear directive for your life moving forward, say. Final. Part 7, When Structure Becomes Unstoppable. Most people build systems. Few make them unstoppable. There is a difference. Archangel Michael speaks with quiet authority. Anything built can weaken. What is reinforced becomes unshakable. You now have clarity. You have structure. You have discipline. You have communication. You have vision. But permanence requires reinforcement. And reinforcement happens in layers. The reinforcement principle. A strong wall is not made from one thick layer. It is built from many thin, repeated layers. Your household stability works the same way. Reinforcement means not assuming last year's structure still works. Not assuming last month's discipline still holds. Not assuming yesterday's clarity still applies. Reinforcement means reviewing, adjusting, strengthening, refining. Constantly. Quietly. Layer 1, Financial Reinforcement. Even well-built systems must evolve. Income changes. Expenses shift. Markets move. Technology advances. Reinforcement asks. Are our investments diversified? Are we overexposed in one area? Are our reserves sufficient? Are we tracking efficiently? Are our systems automated where possible? Automation strengthens stability. Manual chaos weakens it. Refinement is protection. Layer 2, Emotional Reinforcement. Even disciplined households face pressure. Unexpected costs. External stress. Career changes. Health adjustments. Emotional reinforcement means responding, not reacting. Discussing, not blaming. Adjusting, not collapsing. Archangel Michael declares. Calm leadership protects more than capital. If panic enters the house, structure trembles. If calm leads, structure stabilizes. Emotional reinforcement prevents internal erosion. Layer 3, Identity Reinforcement. Identity can weaken if not strengthened. You must consistently remind yourself. We are disciplined. We are structured. We are transparent. We are intentional. We are long-term thinkers. Identity must be lived daily. Not spoken once. When behavior aligns repeatedly, identity becomes permanent. Layer 4, Educational Reinforcement. Knowledge expires. Skills become outdated. Industries shift. Reinforcement requires continuous learning. One new skill per year. One financial concept mastered per quarter. One strategic improvement each season. Learning protects earning. Stagnation reduces leverage. Archangel Michael says. Growth stops quietly. Renewal must be intentional. Layer 5, Generational Reinforcement. If you want permanence, knowledge must transfer. Children must understand structure. Partners must understand strategy. Successors must understand responsibility. Wealth without understanding collapses. Understanding without discipline stagnates. Reinforcement ensures both remain aligned. The compounding shield. When reinforcement becomes routine, confidence stabilizes. Mistakes reduce. Fear diminishes. Communication improves. Momentum accelerates. You no longer operate from reaction. You operate from preparedness. Prepared households are difficult to destabilize. The subtle reminder. When you notice a QR code appear, or see a link referenced in the description or comments. Treat it as a checkpoint. Not a command. Not an emergency. A checkpoint. A reminder to ask. Am I reinforcing what I built? If you choose to scan or click, let it symbolize renewal. A quiet act of recommitment. A moment where you say, I will not allow drift. Participation strengthens alignment. Alignment strengthens permanence. The danger of drift. Drift is subtle. You skip one review. Delay one update. Ignore one adjustment. Postpone one conversation. Nothing breaks immediately. But drift accumulates. Reinforcement prevents drift. Reinforcement prevents erosion. Reinforcement preserves momentum. The unstoppable household. An unstoppable household is not loud. It is consistent. It is organized. It is emotionally steady. It is strategically adaptive. It reviews. It learns. It refines. It communicates. It does not depend on miracles. It depends on discipline. The authority shift. Archangel Michael affirms. You are not waiting for rescue. You are building resilience. Resilience is stronger than sudden opportunity. Resilience absorbs shock. Resilience adapts to change. Resilience compounds quietly. Anchor reinforcement. Before comfort whispers again. Before routine dulls awareness. Before success creates complacency. Comment this word. Reinforce. Comment reinforce because you are choosing to strengthen what you built rather than assume it will sustain itself. And when the QR code or link appears, let it remain what it truly is. A symbolic reminder of participation. A signal to realign. A moment to recommit. Not urgency. Intentional reinforcement. If you are ready for the closing directive that ties reinforcement into long-term generational authority, say. Continue. Part 8, the generational authority that cannot be taken. Now we arrive at the level most people never reach. Not survival. Not protection. Not even stability. Authority. Not loud authority. Not domination. But generational authority. Archangel Michael speaks with steady conviction. When your house operates in alignment, it no longer reacts to pressure, it commands its direction. Authority means your household is no longer fragile. It is directional. It does not drift. It designs. The difference between survival and authority. Survival asks. How do we manage this month? Authority asks. How do we control the next decade? Survival reacts. Authority anticipates. Survival waits. Authority initiates. Most households operate in cycles of reaction. Very few build predictive control. Predictive control. Predictive control means you see trends early. You adjust before strain appears. You prepare before crisis emerges. You diversify before risk concentrates. You upgrade before stagnation forms. You are not responding to events. You are reading patterns. Patterns reveal direction long before headlines do. The quiet command of structured families. Families that operate with generational authority. Review proactively. Invest intentionally. Educate continuously. Communicate transparently. Document consistently. They do not panic when pressure appears. Because pressure was anticipated. Preparedness removes fear. Fear weakens decision quality. Authority restores calm. The identity of a builder. You are no longer someone trying to make it. You are someone designing permanence. That shift changes behavior. You no longer chase urgency. Overreact emotionally. Delay difficult conversations. Ignore small cracks. You build systems that absorb impact. You refine processes annually. You upgrade knowledge regularly. Authority becomes visible through discipline. The role of vision in authority. Authority requires long-range sight. Not just 5 years. 20. 30. 40. You ask. Will this decision strengthen long-term continuity? Will this habit compound? Will this structure transfer cleanly? Will this conversation prevent confusion later? Short-term thinkers chase gain. Long-term thinkers preserve legacy. The subtle checkpoint. When you notice a QR code appear, or see a link mentioned in the description or comments, pause with awareness. Not urgency. Not pressure. Ask yourself, am I operating from survival, or authority? If you choose to scan or click, let it represent commitment to direction. A symbolic reinforcement of structure. A personal acknowledgement that authority requires participation. It is not about fear. It is about alignment. The emotional maturity of authority. Authority is calm under pressure. When markets fluctuate, you adjust. When income shifts, you adapt. When uncertainty appears, you evaluate. You do not collapse into panic. Because systems exist. And systems reduce chaos. Archangel Michael declares. Stability is not luck. It is design repeated. The generational echo. When children grow up observing authority, they internalize calm. They internalize preparation. They internalize responsibility. They internalize long-term thinking. You are not just protecting assets. You are shaping mindset. And mindset transfers more reliably than money. The power of reinforced identity. When authority becomes identity, you no longer question whether you are capable. You operate as someone who plans, reviews, documents, communicates, adjusts, leads. Identity solidifies through repetition. Repetition builds permanence. The final elevation. Authority does not mean perfection. It means intentional correction. You will still adjust. You will still refine. You will still improve. But you will not drift. Drift is for reactive households. Authority is for structured ones. Anchor generational authority. Before distraction narrows your focus again. Before short-term comfort feels tempting. Before discipline weakens. Comment this word. Authority. Comment authority because you are stepping fully into generational direction rather than short-term survival. And whenever you see the QR code or link referenced, let it remain what it is meant to be. A reflective checkpoint. A reminder that participation strengthens structure. That reinforcement preserves direction. That alignment sustains legacy. Not urgency. Intentional authority. If you are ready for the final closing message that seals everything into one lifelong directive, say Amen.